Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before we get started, like always, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Shem Yahweh Shai, Shem Rachaha Kodash. Double honors to our apostles, our elders, and bishops of Great Millstone, and salutations to the hopeful elect, scattered throughout the four corners of the planet Earth. On the brothers of Ray Allah down here at the GMS Virginia camp, back with another lesson through the Spirit Pop Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. This is going to quick hit, something that's on my spirit, just meditating on, concerning balance, concerning the things of this world and us being men of the Lord. All right, us being men of the Lord, us being servants of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. There are certain responsibilities and duties that we have as a man, whether that's being a father, husband, employee. We may have certain hobbies like or trades, or maybe a businessman. We have certain different things, I should say, within this world that essentially brings us an income or kind of, I wouldn't say a distraction, or basically a priority outside of this truth. Okay, you have to have a balance. You have to remember that, you know, these things are just, things outside of this truth to keep you occupied, to lessen your burden, in Babylon and so on and so forth, keep your mind busy. But what you mainly should be focusing on is, prophecy, focusing on Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai first and foremost, and maintaining a good spirit within yourself. And what I mean by that is you sometimes you'll be down and out of the spirit, and some days or some weeks you'll be really in good spirits. But how do you maintain that? You maintain that by cleaving onto Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. You maintain that by, through prayer. First and foremost, pray on a day-to-day basis. If you can, pray 3 times a day. I'm trying to learn, through the spirit, self-management. There's certain different skills and things that you need to make you more of a better servant to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, and that goes with, self-management, being able to be having a set schedule, having a proper time set aside to pray to the Lord or do a lesson or whatever you need to do. Just make sure that you're doing it. Just make sure that you're doing it, and just make sure that you being in this truth, you're in it for the right reasons, and that your faith is genuine, and constantly examine yourself like the scriptures go into. Because if you don't, pretty much of what I'm about to read, things like this will happen. And this is why we have to stay girded within this truth, because anyone can fall out. All right. If you're not of the elect, you can fall out, and that's why it's very important for us to, like the scripture said, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. If you fear the Lord, you're going to move accordingly. You're going to do the things that are required of you, if not more, to make sure your seat is secured on that chariot. So I want to read Mark chapter 4 and verse 13. It says, "And he said unto them, Know ye not this parable? And how then will ye know all parables?" Right? In verse 14, it says, "The sower soweth the word. And these are they by the wayside, where the word is sown. But when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts." Right? So you have a lot of people that come up, to the camps, that come up on the counter boards, right? And they hear this word, and immediately, Satan hop on them, and they get to being a demon on the counter board, being a demon in person, or sometimes before they even hear, they'll hear something, and they come up to camp, and they automatically did this a demon to hop on. They just automatically just want to try to cut us off, or try to make their points, or show how smart they is, and want to get their point across, or whatever the case may be. You have many various, situations or scenarios, but, just apply to this, man. You have a lot of people that hear this word, and, even on TikTok, you see it. The elder Menatezakwa, he goes into it a lot, responses of these people, of what they had to say about the quote-unquote black Hebrew Israelites, which were not black, okay? We're Hebrew Israelites, all right? Hebrew is the tongue, Israelite is the nationality, which is the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Jacob's name was later changed to Israel, which represented, the 12 tribes of Israel, which came out of his loins. Okay, he had 12 sons. All right. Continuing on, it says, verse 16, and these are they likewise which are sown on stony ground, who when they have heard the word immediately receive it with gladness, and have no root in themselves, and so endure for a time afterward. When affliction or persecution arises for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. Right. So, the scriptures speak about how it's sweet in thy mouth as honey, but in thy belly it was bitter. Okay. When you start to deal with heavy persecution, when you start to deal with the bad when it comes to the truth, right? Because like Job says, and I not receive bad and just good from the Lord, you're gonna receive both. All right, because ultimately you're still under the curses, you're still in captivity. So yeah, you're going to go through some hard shit. You're going to have some unfortunate events that happen in your life, and you have to take it on the chin, like it says in Micah, "I will bear the indignation of the Lord." Why? Because we have sinned against the Lord. So for the Lord's name's sake or for this doctrine, you're going to have to suffer. That's just what it is. But like the scriptures also go into, the things that we suffer in this time are not worthy to be compared for the things to come. All right, so it's worth the suffering. But reading it back again, it says in verse 16, and these are they likewise which are sown on stony ground, who have, when they have heard the word, immediately receive it with gladness. Yeah, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. You know, I got this truth. I got everything lined up. I got a good job. I got all this and then the third. I'm good, man. Ain't nothing gonna happen. I'm gonna just serve the Lord and everything gonna work itself out, man. You know, and that's a good attitude to have, but you're not counting the cost. You're not counting that, oh, I could lose my job. Oh, I could get locked up. Oh, I could lose my woman. I could lose my house. I could lose everything that I have. Do I have the faith to endure when things don't go my way? Or when adversity smacks me dead on the face? Am I willing to fight and get back up? Those are the questions you have to be asking yourself. But these, type of men come in this truth, and they don't take that in consideration, that the Lord could be bringing someone in your life to pull you out. And if you don't have the mental fortitude or the faith to cut it off, what's going to happen? Right? It's going to go into it. It says, verse 17, and have no root in themselves, and so endure but for a time afterward. When affliction or persecution arises for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. And these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word, and the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the lust of other things entering in, choke the word, and becometh unfruitful. Right? So, case in point, you start to get weary in the flesh kicking your ass. Whether certain devices or certain things that your flesh craves after, right? You're now putting that as a main priority, and you're putting it before Yahweh Shemi Al Shai, right? And that could be your job, it could be your woman, it could be your kids, right? It could be if you have any particular talents like music, sports, whatever the case may be. It could be anything, right? It could be sex, right? It could be many various different things, okay? And when you put that before Yahweh Shemi Al Shai, the Lord will start to see that, man. And the Lord will use that to pull you out of this truth. And this is why you have to gain control over that flesh. The scriptures speak about mortify thy members, all right? When you put those things to death, right? And the way that you do that is by fasting. You take a break from certain things, and you hold your flesh accountable, and you fight it with the spirit. And when you do that, you start to gain more control, and you're like, okay, it's not that bad. I can go, a little longer than what I used to do as far as eating or having sex or playing the video games or doing, certain things that you love to do that pulls you away from this truth. Like case in point, we know that we have a quota to do 3 lessons a week. If you slipping in your lessons, okay, now it's time to work on time management. Your job pulling you away from this or whatever you like to do, you have to cut those things off and make sure that you get what you need to get done first, and that's doing this work. And then when you get your 3 lessons up or whatever it is for that particular day, all right, if you want to organize it as daily tasks, making sure you do a lesson every day. When you get your lesson done, then you can go and chill and do your homework if you're in school, or focus on your business and so on and so forth. Sometimes it may you have to be ideally, sometimes it's not like that, but make sure you schedule a set time, at least 15-20 minutes aside throughout the day to either read or do that lesson, or both. 30 minutes. We'll just give an hour. Those are the things that you have to take in consideration and count the cost of. Because yeah, we get busy. It's a lot of things that happen. Esau, this nigga works us to death. I'm talking 8 to 12 hours a day. And then you don't got no time. And then when the time you do have, you still gotta cook. You gotta clean. You know, if you don't have a woman, if you got children, you got to deal with your kids and shit like that. Get proper sleep for work the next day. It's a lot. You know, it's a lot. And those are the cares of this world. And sometimes you have to say, man, fuck that. Let me make time to the Lord, and the Lord will work it all out for me, man. The Lord will, make a way for you to make time for Him as long as you continue to seek Him. So, the pretty much of this lesson is you want to make sure that you have that time management, because if you don't, you will be pulled out of this truth, man. So continuing on, it says, and these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word, and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches. Yes, you see a lot of people just worried about that bag. And what happened? They fall out because of that bag. Or they fall out because of that woman, right? It says, and the lust of other things entering in, choke the word and becometh unfruitful. Now you slipping on your lessons. You ain't did a lesson in 2 weeks. You ain't did a lesson in months. Okay, now you suspended, now what? Right? You stop doing lessons on your suspension. You ain't going out no more. You ain't doing sit downs. You ain't studying. You ain't reading. Right? The Lord is slowly pulling the truth away from you and allowing you to be choked up by the things that may seem important to you now. All right, but we know that the things of this world and the fashion of this world will pass us away, man. Okay, but the kingdom of heaven, that's gonna abide forever. So you have to take that in real consideration and see, hey, am I doing what I need to do? And if you don't, do better. That's all of this lesson about. Doing better and applying yourself to the best of your abilities according to Yahweh Bashem Yahshua's ways, and then according to the measure of your faith. Because everybody has, amount of measure of faith that they have. Some brothers are able to do 3-4 lessons a day. So you see the elders and apostles do it all the time. Some brothers are able to do, 10 in a week, or 7 or 6 or 5. Some brothers may only be able to do that 3, but at the end of the day, if you have time, make time to do it. And then if you know it's just 3, try to do more. You have to push yourself. Know your limits, right? Don't overexert the spirit either, because you don't want that. It could be, hey, this flesh is weak, So continuing on, because I did mention, as far as like uh, certain brothers with the measure of their faith. Verse 20 goes into that. It says, and these are they which are sown on good ground, such as hear the word and receive it, right? And bring forth some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100, right? So we're all a body. So we all have that certain measure of faith, which is the talents. Okay, we all have been gifted a certain amount of talents. And when we use those talents to the best of our abilities, case in point, I love to go into exhortation. That's my lot. I go into exhortation. I go into things that are pertaining to, being a better servant to the Lord. I go into, motivation, inspiration, and so on and so forth. You know, that's my lot. That's what I love. That's my favorite topics. Or sometimes going on about the Gentiles and so on and so forth. But every brother has, a particular topic that they pretty much always go into, or their favorite scripture they always love to go into. But hey, that's their gift. And they use it wholeheartedly, and you have to exploit your gift to the best of your abilities. You have to do that, man. Because that's showing the Lord that you're truly sincere. You know, and it boosts other brothers up. So don't try to go too deep or try to do too much. Do what is required of you, and then do a little bit more. So with that, I pray and hope this lesson was edifying to the hopeful elect. I want to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Hashem Yahweh Shai, Hashem Kodash, and double honors to our apostles, our elders, and bishops, a great millstone, and salutation to the hopeful elect. Kwame Yasharala, Moafa Gabal, Shalom.